Welcome to American Outdoor News. Today we're here with Craig Boddington. Craig, thanks for taking the time as usual.
Well, thanks for having me, Chris. It's good to see you, and you look healthy and happy, and so obviously you've survived this mess okay.
Yeah, well, the staying home part wasn't that good, but we did what we needed to do.
Well, I don't think I've been home this long since I was in high school, and this would have been my 50th reunion, but of course it wasn't held because of the virus.
Wow. Now, how has this affected your hunts for the year?
Gone.
All of them.
Yeah, I'm still hopeful that some things in the fall will happen, but I think I had some things planned in the spring and nothing happened. Everything rolled forward to next year, the year after, and that's just the way it goes. I think in the fall, things are going to be a little bit better. The one thing I haven't done is I haven't gotten on an airplane since March, and that's unusual for me and not in a hurry. But the other day I got word that I drew a goat tag in Montana, so I've been applying for that one since 1971.
Wow, and you just got it?
Took a long time and finally drew that. So I'll actually drive up and take my own saddle, and life's good.
Wow, so that's what, like a 10-hour drive for you?
Oh no, more than that, but it's a long day. It's doable.
Okay, all right. Well, you've had a pretty celebrated career in the outdoor industry. You've won multiple awards. You won the Weatherby Award a few years ago, the Capstick Award, the Loophole Award, the Conklin Award. Wow, that's something.
I've been lucky. I've had a pretty good run.
At what point in your career did you realize that you had become a famous hunter?
Well, I really never have. I'm kind of uncomfortable with that, Chris. I mean, I love what I do, and I've been doing it for a long time, and hopefully I can do it for a little while longer. But there are some words that are like fingernails on a blackboard to me. And when somebody uses the word celebrity, it drives me insane, because I'm just a guy who's been lucky and made a living doing what we love to do. And the other description that is like fingernails on a blackboard is professional hunter. I'm not. I'm a journalist who hunts, and professional hunters are licensed and go through apprenticeships in various countries around the world. And for me, that's a pretty honorable profession, but I'm just a journalist.
Well, you've written over 4,000 articles, 25 books?
Yeah, up to 29 now. I've been busy the last couple of years.
Wow. And you just came out with Buffalo too.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what made you come out with a second part to that?
Well, but I did Buffalo some years ago, and I'm happy with it. It's fine. There's nothing wrong in it. But I wrote that book, now the best part of 15 years ago, and I know more now than I did then. And the last few years, we've been spending a lot of time in Mozambique, which is hell, it's all great, but we've been spending a lot of time there, and the swamp hunting there is just so much different than your typical tracking hunt in Zimbabwe or Tanzania or places. And so I know more now. And the other thing is, when I wrote that, a buffalo's a buffalo. It really doesn't change that much from one end of the continent to the other. But at the time I wrote that, I hadn't had a chance to hunt the Nile buffalo in Uganda, and although I'd hunted them, I hadn't been successful on the dwarf forest buffalo, which is by far the smallest but the most difficult. And I'd tried, but I hadn't been successful. And so I thought, this is my final word on buffalo as far as books go. But I thought I know a lot more now, and I can do a more thorough job and really kind of add to what I might have missed.
So what's the difference in the varied species of buffalo in the hunt? Is it more the terrain than the animal itself? I know in general they're pretty pissed off animals.
Well, I think it's really the terrain and the vegetation. Now, I mean, they change a lot. I mean, the Southern Cape buffalo that we all think about is big and black, and a bull will weigh 1,500 pounds. As you get further west in Africa, across Central Africa, and that huge bulge of West Africa, they get smaller. They get smaller in the body and the horn, and they're not black anymore. You start to see a lot of brown and red in every herd. Now, yeah, the majority of bulls will still be very dark, mature bulls, but you'll still see red buffalo bulls that are perfectly mature, and they're kind of as almost burnt orange red they can be, and the horns get smaller. So if you go across to Cameroon, in the north there, the Savannah buffalo there weigh 1,000 pounds, so they're a third smaller. And then you drop south down into the forest zone where you have the true forest buffalo, and they're tiny. They're 500, 550 pounds with very small horns, and they're all red. They're almost never completely black. So they change a lot, but the hunting is the same except for the vegetation. And you get into real thick country, then it's more dangerous and more exciting. The people there where they hunt in West Africa and Central Africa, they maintain their buffalo or are more aggressive than the southern buffalo. I don't believe it. I think it's just so much thicker that you tend to bump them at a lot closer range.
Now, you've hunted, what, over 300 plus species all over the world. Where is your favorite place to hunt?
Ooh, that's both hard and easy. I mean, favorite hunt is always either the next hunt or the last hunt. I love it all. I mean, I'm a nut for it. I was out over the weekend hunting pigs here in California, and I still absolutely love that. We're North American hunters, and so North American hunting is hard to beat, and I don't know of any place on earth that's beautiful than the real wilderness in Western Canada and Alaska. It's just gorgeous. Now, the animal density isn't there. You want to see a lot of animals, hunt whitetail in Pennsylvania or my place in Kansas. But that's beautiful country. But Africa is also pretty darn hard to beat because of the variety. You never know what you're going to see on a given day.
So you really don't have a preference in animal.
Well, we have our favorites. I mean, like everybody in the U.S., I love my whitetail hunting. Crazy about that, and really all the deer species, but more whitetail than anything else. I enjoy that a lot. I'm kind of a nut on bears, but nobody can find an excuse to do an awful lot of bear hunting. I love the mountain game because I love the high country. It doesn't matter where it is. I love the mountains, but that's also stuff that we're not going to be able to do every year. The permits are scarce, and it's hard to come by. I mean, I told you I drew a goat tag in Montana, and that's exciting. And I've drawn a couple of good sheep tags here in the U.S., and hopefully I may live long enough to draw a couple more, although I don't know because I've been pretty lucky.
Yeah, a goat hunt is a pretty physically demanding hunt. Now, you suffered a heart attack in Uganda in 2014. How has that changed how you prepare for a hunt like this?
Well, it does change you because it was a really close call. It was actually 2011, so long time ago now. And I'm fine. I see the cardiologist every year, and he tells me to go away, and he'll see me next year, which is great news.
That's encouraging.
I'm totally fine, but it was a wake-up call because at that time I still thought I was bulletproof and invincible, and kind of showed me that I'm not. So I work pretty hard at staying in shape, but quite honestly, I don't push myself as hard as I used to.
Yeah.
You kind of learn you gotta know your limitations, and so I do stay in shape, but I don't push myself as hard as I once did.
Well, the older we get, the tougher it gets, and you approach game differently. Um, the more strenuous hunts, I guess, as we get older, we gotta leave that to the younger guys.
Well, I haven't yet seen one that I can't do, but I go at it a little bit slower than I used to. Got to take your time.
Now, what was the most compromising hunt you've been on, or most compromising situation?
Well, the first Marco Polo hunt in '98, I got altitude sick, and that was bad. I mean, it was really bad, and you know that's an insidious disease because it's so random. It has nothing to do with age or fitness or obesity or lack thereof. It can hit anybody, and that's
Mm-hmm.
why serious mountain climbers may suddenly succumb to it on their 30th or 40th or 50th ascent because it's random. Never had it before, never had it since, but I was really sick. It was bad, and I managed to get a ram on that hunt, but truthfully, I don't even remember much of it. I was just going through the motions, and so it was tough. That was a bad one. Again, the only way you can ward it off is look for the signs and try to stay in shape. And you know that on a genuine altitude hunt, I'll see a doctor before I go. And
Yeah.
I take Diamox, which is a standard prescription, and it's a miracle thing for me. That works. I start taking Diamox 48 hours out if I'm going to be above about 10,000 feet. I don't worry about it up till that. But above 10,000, I'll start taking Diamox 48 hours out.
Well, it seems like the past year or so, you've been on a lot of those hunts where you're in high altitude.
Yes, I like the mountains, and normally I'm not affected by altitude. Again, that was back in '98. Good heavens, that's a long time ago now, and never any further problems. But I watched the signs. They wanted to take me down, which is always the right answer, and I
Yeah.
refused, which was stupid. But I had Diamox, and I had not been taking it because I thought, well, I'm young enough and I'm strong enough. I was still in the Marines at the time, and I thought I don't need that stuff. And when I got sick, I started taking it, and fortunately, it worked. In about 48 hours, I was as good as I was going to get.
Now, you did what, 20 plus years in the Marines?
31.
31 years. How do you do that?
I didn't know when to quit. I didn't know when to quit. I had a wonderful time. I really did. I still keep in touch with some of the guys. In fact, tomorrow I'm driving up to Oregon. A lot of the guys I went through the NROTC program with and the basic school at Quantico were happened to be from Oregon State, and several of us have stayed friends. So we're having a little reunion up there over the weekend. So I still keep in touch with quite a few of the guys.
It's always good to see old friends.
Yes, it is.
Now, you were writing as an outdoor writer while you were still in the Corps, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I started trying to sell stories when I was even in high school, I would say. You know, a lot of my colleagues look at you with a straight face and say that they sold the first story that they ever submitted and never looked back. And I can't say that. Man, I built up a boxcar full of rejection notices before I sold my first piece, but it took time, but it's gotten better. And so I was doing a lot of freelance work in the Marines. And of course, a lot of my time was reserved. So I could really pursue both careers.
Now, with so many books and articles under your belt, and you're experience in editing and publishing with varied publications. What kind of advice do you give somebody just starting out wanting to be an outdoor writer?
Well, don't do what I did. I've got an English degree, which is good. I use it every day, obviously. But I would strongly recommend at least courses in journalism and photojournalism and communications. You know, this is still not an industry where any kind of a college credential is required. It's certainly not. But the more you know, the better off you are. So I think anything in the J school journalism course of study, English degree is useful, communications is valuable, but anything along those lines, as far as you can go with it, is really helpful because you will use it every day. And my biggest mistake, and it's still my career failing, is I'm a lousy photographer. So take a lot of pictures, and if you take enough, you'll get one or two good ones, but start early. Start really early with a decent digital camera and really learn how to use it and learn how to do studio photography, which I'm terrible at, as my editors will tell you. But learn how to do studio photography and really, because, you know, some of the old timers that we revere, like Elmer Keith and Charlie Askins and the old timers who were still around when I got started, they were terrible photographers. And if they started today, despite their knowledge, I'm not sure they could sell their first story. So really consider the writing as one line and the photography is another. Learn how to do both and put them together, and you'll very much be a leg up. And the other thing is, you have to recognize that it's a difficult field because there is no mandatory retirement. Heck, there's no retirement plan. So I mean, guys like me don't step aside and let the young bucks in. We should. And I've helped out a lot of young writers and always try to, but we're not going to go away. We can do this as long as health and mental acuity remains. And so, you know, when you come in your 20s, you're competing with guys in their 60s and even 70s, sometimes 80s, who've been doing this for 50, 60 years. And that's tough because the field has not gotten bigger. So you have to really be persistent. You have to believe in yourself and make sure you have the hide of a rhinoceros, because you're going to get rejections.
Par for the course. Now, you have the uncanny ability to really sit down anywhere and just bang out a story. You could be in the middle of a party and write a story. How do you do that?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of able to shut things off and do that. It often drives Donna and my kids insane. But when it's time to meet a deadline, I can shut them off, and I do. Unfortunately, often quite brutally. Don't mean to. It's just the way I do it. But I can shut things off and concentrate. And I've often said that I can write during an artillery barrage, and have. I shut things off pretty darn well. Now, it's not necessary to do that. Everybody works in different ways. You know, some people have to have an absolutely quiet place and go off by themselves, and that's perfectly fine too, but you have to learn what you need to do to really concentrate and get the job done.
Well, you've had a long, unbelievable career. To you, and I know it would be different for me, what are some of the highlights of your career for you?
Wow. Well, you know, I think the very best years I spent was when I was at Peterson Publishing. And I was there in the office from, you know, one of the problem with the younger guys is they tend to think that this is just going to happen. So I had a full-time office job for 15 years, from 79 into the 90s, and went to the office every day unless I was out of town. And but that was a magic time, because Bob Peterson was such a great boss, and my boss Ken Elliott was fantastic. They're both gone now, but they were great people. And as a young editor, I had a chance to work with some fantastic writers. My best mentors, I think, were probably Bob Millick and John Wooters. Both of them gone now, but their work is still out there. And they kind of took the new kid under their wing, and that was fantastic. So I was an office pogue for that 15 years. I left the office in 93, early 94, and have just been purely writing under contract since then. And I enjoy that. I really do. But the time I spent at Peterson Publishing was such great preparation for everything else. And quite honestly, when I was a kid, I had a real tough scoutmaster. He'd been a POW in World War II, and he was a tough old guy. And obviously, then I went off to the Marines, and I learned so much from both Boy Scouts and what I learned in the Marines. And that's also stuff that I use every single day.
Yeah, well, two questions in closing. You've hunted 6 continents, 300 game species plus. Where is your favorite place to hunt?
Well, again, the last hunt or the next hunt. And I mean that seriously, because I look forward to everything and look back on everything. But and I've spent a lot of time in Africa, and somebody once commented that, once asked me, he said, well, are you still interested in hunting North America? Well, I was terribly offended, because of course I am. I mean, of course I am, but Africa is pretty hard to beat, mainly because of the variety. You just don't know what you're going to see. And so a lot of my books have been about Africa, and some of the more successful ones. So, that's been important to me, and I love it dearly. I would have been in Zambia with Brittany's husband, my son-in-law, in April, and of course that didn't happen because of the COVID, but we'll reschedule it. So I'm not done there yet.
When was you first hunt to Africa? What year?
Kenya, 1977.
How have things changed since then? Can you
Oh gosh,
go back and
so much. I was a first lieutenant in the Marines at the time. Of course, that was peacetime, and we could plan a leave, and we could schedule something with some certainty it was going to happen. So I did, and I saved my pennies for years so I could get Africa out of my system once and for all. And that didn't work particularly well. But it's changed. In 77, Kenya was on its last legs. It was still a fantastic hunt, but I didn't know that. So Africa has changed. It's become more specialized, and certainly it's become more expensive, but after all, so is everything else. True. And plains game hunting in southern Africa is still the best bargain in the entire hunting world. I do outfitting in a very small way on my Kansas place, and good heavens, for what I charge for a week's whitetail hunt, you can still go to either South Africa and Namibia and have a great hunt and shoot a half a dozen animals.
That's great. If you could only hunt one species today, what would it be?
Oh, I'd have to stick with white-tailed deer.
Wow,
I really would.
That's surprising. I would have thought it would have been the Cape
quickly
buffalo.
By buffalo.
That's what I thought it would have been. All right, great. I appreciate your time, and glad to have you on the cover in our fall issue.
Well, Chris, thank you so much. Listen, it's good to be with you. And now, while you're out there, don't pet or talk to any strange viruses. You promise?
I can't promise that.
We love our children. We protect them. We guide them. We prepare them for life in the world. With all that we do, from deep in our hearts, we cannot control all things. Life-threatening illnesses and disabilities affect far too many of our children each year. While we cannot change the circumstance, we can make dreams come true. Dreams to provide hope, to provide spiritual healing and strength, to provide moments of happiness and relief in the hardest of times. We can give a glimmer of light and hope in a time of darkness and despair. Join huntofalifetime.org to help make dreams come true, to provide hope for children with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Hunt of a Lifetime is a nonprofit organization fulfilling dreams for hunting and fishing trips to youth 21 and under with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Visit huntofalifetime.org to learn how you can make a difference.